Rings of Power Season 2 has been unleashed upon the world. Last Thursday, they dropped 3 episodes to much aplomb, and, well, I've watched a fair amount of the coverage, and even going back to the first season, I was quite engaged with all of it, and frankly, yeah, it doesn't really sound like that much of a step down in quality. It's definitely not a step up from Season 1. It's more or less just kind of lateral sludge, and no, I'm not just talking about the manifestation of Sauron tumbling down a hill like molded flubber. The best thing that you can say about it is, well, some of the shots look good. Well, it should for a $1 billion production. But I guess the best thing that I could say is that when it comes to critique, it's just boring. Like, for the people that are complaining about how, House of the Dragon Season 2 didn't accomplish anything. Oh, it was just spinning its wheels. Oh, everything about it was just boring. What would they say about this tripe? What would they say about that 3+ hours of content that does nothing but assault your general sensibilities? Outside of saying it's boring, that's about it. That's about where all the niceties and pleasantries about end, because after that, every single aspect of the show is crap. Story doesn't make any sense. The modern day writing is laughable that's in it. It's aping, not from the source material that you're pretending to adapt from, but from the Peter Jackson films that you guys don't have any license to, but then at the same time you can do a wink and a nod to that film series. You can jangle a couple of keys, because they know that legally, well, nothing can really happen by doing that, and it gives you the member berries, because nothing about the actual characters that are in this for the people that are familiar with the lore, and when it comes to people that are sticklers for the lore, Tolkien's work and Tolkien's fan base, they're some of the most particular. There are people that hate the Peter Jackson trilogy from the early 2000s, you know, the single greatest piece of media if you put all 3 movies back to back to back. I hated it because there was no scouring of the Shire at the end of it, and Tom Bombadil, who's going to be in this season, oh boy, I wait for that awful appearance, and the Barrow Downs and the Barrow Whites and all of that other stuff that wasn't in that film series. But they're also incredible sticklers when it comes to the characters from the books being represented. A lot of people didn't like Viggo Mortensen's Aragorn. Why? Because he was a man most definitely set on his mission. He knew he was going to be king of Gondor. There was nothing that was going to stand between him and his throne in the books. In the movies, Viggo's interpretation is a man who's definitely more questioning his fate, who is coming around and learning the ropes on the way to becoming a king. I think it's a little bit more complex. That's my opinion on it. There are, of course, purists who despise any of the changes. So what the hell did Moyfred Clark think was going to happen when she turned the Lady of Lothlorien, one of the wisest, fairest of elves in all of Middle-earth, Galadriel, into the warrior queen Galadriel, okay, just the most insufferable bitch ever committed to celluloid? How could you not understand the source material, even if you're not familiar with it? But if you get cast in the role, you better well get familiar with it. And how could you think? Okay, because, you know, even unplaced hatred towards women in Lord of the Rings isn't something that's brand new. Just go back to the early 2000s and check in with Liv Tyler for how much hatred she got from certain websites that right now seem to have got the checks from Amazon cleared and are more than willing to shill this crap show. But I digress. Instead of taking the blame for her abysmal performance, okay, her wacky smiling sequences that look a little bit better than that stupid horse riding scene in season 1, but because Cate Blanchett had at least a warm smile when she was handing out her gifts in Fellowship, they decided to make that a defining characteristic of the warrior Galadriel, captain of the armies of the North, and that she just guffaws off into nowhere multiple times in episode. It makes no sense at all whatsoever. But with all that said, and with all the critique that was placed on season 1, and now with a much diminished fan base coming back for a second season, you know, she is shocked, totally unprepared for the fan hate towards Galadriel. No, it's for the entire show. It's for the new characters, which, if you need to add characters to Tolkien's work, you clearly don't know the source material. There's plenty to go on. But this is yet another example of actors and actresses not taking responsibility for their crap performance in their crap TV show. The Rings of Power star Moyfred Clark has addressed the backlash she received for her portrayal of young Galadriel. Yeah, because it's really bad. I was just totally unprepared when season 1 came out. Yeah, exactly. Clark said in a profile for L, I've seen a really dark side of what it means to be someone who anyone can write a message to on Instagram. It's a really lovely side. We won't provide receipts for either, but that's all right. We'll just listen and believe, right? Clark shared that the negativity has come primarily from men. Yay, attacking male fans of Tolkien. There you go. There's a winning strategy. Not like we haven't seen this exact same strategy trotted out for a recent installment in a well-regarded franchise. This ought to end well for you. Analyzing what her character caused so much outrage from men watching the Amazon Prime Video series. The actress noted, lots of criticism I got from some fans were that things making other people feel liberated while watching Galadriel. Nobody's feeling liberated just because you killed an ice troll in under 10 seconds, just because you lied to everybody by not telling them who Sauron is, or how you gaslit Elrond to go ahead and escape any responsibility your character might have to take for allowing Sauron to influence the creation of the 3 rings for the elves. No, don't worry about any of that stuff, though. That's just angry men that are out there. And it's all of those fans that are review bombing this show. Is it review bombing or on behalf of the fans? Because there you got the 60% verified, which, okay, with the changes to Rotten Tomatoes, I got a video coming out on that and exactly why that occurred. Do you have to have it verified that you have an Amazon Prime account? And then you take a look at top critics and then all critics. That's interesting. I would just kind of like to know how the all critics gets it up to an 86 and a top critics is just a 72. Because you take a look at the 84 reviews and it's all bolstered by, well, they'll work for outlets that chances are you've never heard of before in your entire life. But don't worry, guys, it's totally legit, and season 2 is going to be just as good, if not better than season 1. And trust me, at the end of this, all of those critics that gave it glowing reviews, they'll be able to tell you why season 2 is so much better than season 1, because, well, they can't even remember what happened in season 1, but in season 2 they did something awesome. Okay, guys, this was so revolutionary, and the way that a lot of people were feeling liberated, okay, a lot of women were feeling liberated by the way that Galadriel is treated. Now a lot of black people can feel liberated by the way that they humanize the orcs. That's what these freaks, I can't even call them people, that's what these freaks think, okay? Orcs are black people because reasons. I've never even fully wrapped my head around what kind of progressive racism clouds your mind, rots your brain so much where you come to that conclusion, but some of the weirdest stuff that I've seen come out of season 2 so far is the little orc family that didn't want to have to send Papa Orc off to war anymore, and that he wanted to democratically elect his leaders. It's like, orcs are weapons of war. It's like anthropomorphizing an AK-47. Like, the Kalashnikov needs to go home to his mag and his 8 little bullets at the end of the day. He just wants to start a family, guys. And that's what they're doing with the orcs this time. It's so dumb. Like, this show is one of the most baffling wastes of $1 billion that I've seen in my entire life. But the Rings of Power showrunners defend the decision to humanize the orcs. We feel like, Merch, this goes straight back to Tolkien, who is right now spinning so fast. I think he has achieved his lifelong goal of cracking green energy in perpetuity. In the opinion of the Lord of the Rings of Power showrunner, their season 2 decision to humanize the Dark Lord's orc armies is far from controversial, because not only does the change provide better opportunities for storytelling, as you can see in the background, you can see, well, in the foreground, you've got the orc right there, okay? And then you got his little orc wife holding what I assure you is a little orc baby. It's so dumb, okay? As seen in the series' 3rd and currently latest episode, unfortunately a 4th one is going to be thrust upon us on Thursday. The eagle and the scepter? Sure. Rather than being portrayed as a cruel species depicted by J.R.R. Tolkien himself, the orcs hated everybody and everything, and particularly the orderly and prosperous, wrote the author in The Hobbit. The orcs in the Rings of Power are instead shown as brutal but oppressed foot soldiers. Their lives concerned not just with war and pillaging, but also achieving a future where the families can exist as more than tools for Lord Sauron to be or to use in a service of his ambitions. So if these are the orcs and the way that they're being portrayed right now, and we know that canonically this all eventually leads into the third age where they're just back to being mindless killing machines. So by the end of the show is Halbrand, no, Anatar, no, Sauron in a wig gonna have to genocide all the orcs? Is that what's gonna happen here? Anyways, the preparations are nearly complete. Lord Father, the orc by the name of Golg, at one point tells Adar, but we are safe here. We have a home. Must we go to war again? You told me Sauron was dead. Let us leave him that way. Trust me, the corrupted elf responds, my son, when I tell you that we will never truly be safe until we've made certain Sauron is no more. But you stabbed him with his hat in the first episode before he turned into flubber. This is a good show. It's a good show that nobody's watching, because by the end of the series, right, with this triumphant most watched series in Amazon history, broken billions and billions of minutes watched, broke all the records, 63% of the audience by the end of season 1 couldn't even give enough of a care to check in on the finale. So by the time that season 2's not 1, not 2, but 3 full episodes drop on Thursday, yeah, nobody's watching this again. So by the time that this season ends in a few weeks' time, long enough so that you couldn't just completely sneak the entire season into a 1-month subscription to Amazon Prime that you have to get the second episode, or you have to get the second month, because that's what they want to do. Okay, they want to boost the Nielsen ratings, the watch time for the first week. It's like, oh, look at how many hours watched we have. It's like, yeah, you dropped 3+ hours of content. Okay, and there are some masochists and YouTube reviewers that are out there that are going to have to comb through that crap. Of course, it looks far more impressive than it actually is. But when you start to get the more consistent 1 hour feeds at a time, you're going to see a massive drop off that you hope nobody really talks about. But as you can see by the Rotten Tomatoes scores, not many people are going to speak poorly against the big A. Once again, by the time the finale rolls around, who's going to be watching? Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2 already appears to be losing viewers after a single episode, despite releasing the first 3 episodes at the same time. So you gave people the opportunity to binge 3 full episodes, and they didn't even want to check out the second one that you released. Good strategy. The number of IMDb reviews for the first episode of Season 2 of the third episode decreased by over 50%. There are 3,800 reviews for the first episode. Elven Kings Under the Sky. Second episode has 2,200 reviews, and the third has 1,800. Yikes. And they're getting such sterling reviews, like 7.5 on 3,800 reviews. 7.4. And then an even 7.0, because, yeah, we heard a lot of this stupidity taking place in the first and the second episode. And then a lot of reviews of the third. It's just, yeah, it's so superfluous. I don't even know why they dropped this, because at least there was somewhat of an arc, okay? There was some stuff that was going on within the first 2 episodes that just kind of wrapped up nicely. But the third is just, I don't know why you're doing this, okay? Why are you making us hurt so bad, Amazon? Why? Are you trying to recoup in blood the $1 billion that you spent on this? Are you trying to get your pound of flesh? Why? Why are you doing this? Second season appears to be following the same trend as the first. Kim Masters at The Hollywood Reporter shared back in April of 2023 that 63% of those who watched the first season did not finish it. There, that's where I got the number. Okay, she wrote, while Amazon, like other streamers, provide only limited data, and internally, it held information even more closely than usual on the series. Sources confirmed that The Rings of Power had a 37% domestic completion rate. Yo! From outside the United States, the completion rate was much higher. Much? Overseas, it reached 45%. Yeah, it's only up 8 points. The 50% completion rate would be solid, but not spectacular result, according to insiders. So yeah, 37 people, or I'm sorry, not 37 people. That would be even worse. Let's not get too terribly hyperbolic. There are apparently, 3 more scheduled seasons. We'll see if they get there. 37% of viewers decided to see this all the way through. In North America, 45% the world over decided to see it through. Looking at what happened in the first couple of episodes through Amazon's owned review site, they own Amazon, by the way. Only 3,800 people cared to voice their opinion. Okay, you're taking a look at the reviews for season 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, probably the most known aggregate site. You see 2,500 plus ratings. It's not spectacular. Like we started off this video, okay, that was about the nicest thing I could say about season 2 of the Rings of Power. I won't even give it the LotR prefix because, this crap, yeah, it doesn't deserve it. You might have bought some of the rights, but it doesn't buy yourself any standing in this fandom. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.